So joining us from Washington is Steve Chigueras, Executive Washington Editor for CBSNews.com. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So you've been following this whole thing. Give us the details. What is in this bill?
So basically, the government is reopened. The government will be funded until mid-January. The debt ceiling, which was the deadline that was supposed to hit today, has been lifted until early February. And the folks who are furloughed because of the shutdown will get back pay. And it also sets up a deadline by mid-December that House and Senate negotiators have to sit down and try to figure out a way to deal with the budget long term, as opposed to doing these short stopgap budget bills.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that, because, you know, it's like a game of chicken is over. Hopefully it's not a game of kick the can down the road. What is being put in place so we don't end up in the same predicament in the coming year?
Well, they've put this deadline where you're going to have the House Budget Committee and the Senate Budget Committee leaders sitting down beginning today to try to hash out a negotiation on how to reduce the deficit and deal with the budget moving forward. Now, this isn't the first time they've tried to do this, and it's fallen through before, but again, it's a concerted effort to at least try to deal with the overall problem, which is the funding the government on these short-term budget bills. I think they recognize that this is not the best way to run a government, and they're going to at least try to address this moving forward.
So this whole thing has still been pretty ugly for both parties. Any winners or losers here in terms of the Democrats or Republicans, or maybe the moderates of both parties?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the term winner is probably not the best term to use in this whole scenario, because I think everybody's taken a hit on this. But I think if you had to pick winners and losers, Democrats and the president, I think, came out of this in better shape than the Republicans, in the sense that they withstood this barrage of the Republicans really trying to take out Obamacare, or at least try to ding Obamacare in this, and that did not happen throughout this whole process. But I think you can also argue, too, that maybe one of the winners or two of the winners would be Harry Reid and Mitch McConnell, who actually came up with this agreement. These are two guys who have a long history in the Senate and not really great friends. In fact, they didn't even negotiate with each other last year during the fiscal cliff. It got so bad, Joe Biden had to come in and negotiate with McConnell. So the fact that the two of them got together and put this package together and got it through in such a short amount of time, maybe they could be considered winners as well.
What of Speaker John Boehner? This has been grueling for him. Has he said anything? How's he going to come out of this looking?
He hasn't said anything. He voted last night and then left. I think it cuts both ways with Boehner. I think he's really gained a lot of fans within his own caucus. I think the Tea Party and a lot of the conservative Republicans are really are standing behind Boehner now. So perhaps he's solidified his role as Speaker of the House short term. Long term, however, the Republican Party has clearly taken a hit from all of this. If you look at the polling, the Tea Party and the Republican Party did not fare well after the shutdown, and their long-term prospects now are in question, whether they can even hold on to the majority in the House. And if that's the case, then Boehner's no longer Speaker, and that's the voters saying he's no longer Speaker. It's not his own caucus.
Now, at the center of this whole thing was the Affordable Care Act. The Republicans' desire to either delay it or defund it. They're not giving up that fight. So what will they be doing?
It's unclear. They're very serious about doing something about stopping Obamacare or slowing it down. You heard Senator Ted Cruz, who was one of the most vocal in the Senate, coming out yesterday and saying he was not going to give up that fight. It's unclear what they're going to do. I mean, they held up the government for 2 weeks to try to get at it, and they didn't really succeed doing it that way. So, you know, some people are advising the Republicans, heck, this rollout for the Obamacare wasn't that great to begin with anyway. Let it fail on its own, and you're automatically going to win. So maybe, you know, some of the Republicans may just sit back and let Obamacare sort of deal with the negative attention it's already gotten in the first few weeks.
Yeah.
And that might be one way to deal with it. But they'll definitely keep talking about Obamacare moving forward. It's a big issue for conservative Republicans.
Indeed, and when we saw the vote, you know, an awful lot of Republicans, 144, voted nay. So I'm sure they have a lot to say. We'll be hearing from them in the future. Steve Chigueras, Executive Washington Editor for CBSNews.com. Thank you so much.
Great to be with you.